So today's video is for the complete beginner that wants to build a waterfall in their garden but doesn't know where to start and doesn't know the tips and tricks of the trade. Stay tuned for the Any Pond Showcase. Hi guys, it's Mark from anypond.com, your trusted resource in the UK for ponds and water features. And today I'm at Pond College and we're going to be teaching you something about building a waterfall. What we've got here is we've got a waterfall training box. So if you want to come and train at Pond College, there's a whole number of events. 2020 has been a little bit of a whitewash with COVID and not being able to have people at Pond College. It's a brand new thing, so you may not have even heard of Pond College before, but as you can see, we've got 3 waterfall boxes where you can come and have a go and get mucky without practicing in your own garden or in someone else's garden. So this facility is open to pond contractors and homeowners and enthusiasts, DIY warriors if you like. What we've got is we've got a waterfall box behind, well no, we've actually got a sand pit behind me, which is 15 foot by 20 foot, which is designed for building ponds, and we can turn it around and do whatever. I've got some fountainscapes that I've been playing around with the last couple of weekends. I've just been having some fun, and I thought I'd shoot this quick video to teach you something about how to build a waterfall. What we've got here is we've got something that we were playing around with a couple of weeks ago during the lockdown, and we were just playing around with rock formations, and I was actually teaching my wife, who hasn't built a pondless water feature, and she's actually going to build a pondless water feature for the first time this year, and it's going to be great. And so I've been teaching her a little bit of the fundamentals of how to build a waterfall, and that's what I thought I'd do, is I would basically teach you guys in the training facility here, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips and tricks. So before I get started, should we just switch this on and see what the waterfall's doing? It's not even finished, but I just want to turn the waterfall on and I'll show you how it's running. So as you can see, what I've got is I've got a pipe coming up out of the reservoir, which is here, and it literally comes out this section of pipe and it flows up, comes out of this 90-degree bend and a little bit of a fitting, and a rock's just holding it in place. And as you can see, it looks lovely bubbling up like that. The reason why I have it like that rather than on its side is I don't like how aggressive that is. Some people might like it, but I don't like the aggressive sound of that particular water feature. I prefer it when it's like this. It looks a lot more natural, and it could be like a bubbling rock. And as you can see, what we've got here is we've got a couple of different rocks that are blocking and changing the flow of the water, and as you can see, you've got a nice pooling effect. It's like a ski slope at the moment, but this section of the waterfall is my favorite bit, where it actually comes down and then it stops and then it goes that way and then stops, and then got a little bit of a mystery waterfall coming down here, and then it comes down here. So as you can see, this is literally, I don't know, 40 minutes worth of work. Let's rip it out and I'll show you what we're going to be doing. So let's get started. So you might be thinking, how do I start building a waterfall? Well, the first thing you need to do is get all the tools together. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need to dig a hole. So you need a shovel or a spade, something to dig soil out of the way. And we'll go on to that in a second, how to use a shovel properly and you don't get worn out too quick. This one here is an Irish shovel or an American used shovel, and it's got a lovely curved edge, where this one has got a flat edge and a straight front. This has got a pointed front and a curved edge. So this one is designed for moving a lot of material around that's loose. So gravel or sand. In this particular setting, we use a lot of this for moving the sand back and preparing the ground before we build another waterfall. So there's a couple of different types of shovel, depending on the soil type. Also, we've got a tamp, which in the name, it tamps the area. It's a great big heavy bit of steel. We put a piece of underlayment or protection on it so it doesn't stick to a clay ground. But in this scenario, because it's loose and it's sandy, it's perfectly fine, but it gives a real good compaction, and I'll be using that in a second. Another valuable tool is a 2-foot spirit level. We use the 2-foot spirit level in small spaces. We're building a small waterfall today, so we're using a small spirit level. And what we actually do is we use the spirit level to work out if the base is level. We'll come on to that in a second. A rock hammer for breaking the rocks. It doesn't matter what hammer you use. Obviously, it's got to be man enough to break the stones. So that's a hand tool. Plumber's pipe wrench or pliers, or in channel locks in America. So it's plumber's pliers or a wrench. And these ones here are 16.5 inches, and you can see that they're adjustable. We need these for the back of the Spillway box, and we'll use that in a second. Screwdriver, just literally self-explanatory for doing screws up on a Jubilee clip. A craft knife for cutting underlay and overlay, and also the pond liner, so it's detailed trimming. Also a tape measure. Some people don't really use a tape measure, but it's good to have it handy because you want to make sure you dig the hole big enough. And also, what I tend to use is I use waterfall foam. This is a professional grade waterfall foam, so you need a waterfall gun and an applicator. So there's a few of the hand tools that we use when building waterfalls. So the first thing that I would say to any beginner building a waterfall for the first time, never built one before, had no experience, is to get yourself a complete waterfall kit. And when I say a complete waterfall kit, there's lots of waterfall kits on the market online, but they're not all complete. So yes, you might have a basin, yes, you might have a support grid, yes, you might have a pump, but you're not going to have everything that is designed to be installed in one go. The reason why I would say get a complete pond kit is because then you're not having to worry about how do I attach this fitting onto this pipe, how much basin do I need, how much liner do I need, what type of pump do I need. All of these questions, I would always recommend that you get a kit. Now, we sell the kits, we sell professional kits, and the reason why we sell professional kits is it's because with the professional grade products, you're never going to need to upgrade them. When I was a teenager, when I was building ponds and water features growing up, I used all sorts of things. I even remember using a plastic Tupperware that I got for more container, storage, but after 6 months it went brittle and you could almost flick it and it would crack. So now I would use the professional grade products, and this is where we go on to the basin. This is a professional grade waterfall basin. It's an Aqua Basin 30. It's 30 inches long. In the UK we use metric, so it's 75 centimetres by 75 centimetres, and it holds about 100 litres of water. So you can have approximately 30 litres of water in motion at any one time, and you're not going to have a problem with having to top it up all the time. If you had 100 litres of water in motion, you'd have a problem when it starts to evaporate. But the reason why I would recommend a professional grade product is these are designed specifically for waterfalls and fountains. They've got a lovely lip on them, which keeps the water inside the basin. So as you can see, I'm just scraping out some gravel, some sand, and you can see the lip, and we build, and it's very easy for the water to stay inside here. Now it's real strong. You know, I can stand on it. It's a professional grade product. Yes, it's expensive if you believe it's expensive. I actually believe it's good value for money because you're never ever going to have to worry about it. It's got a lifetime guarantee and it's perfect for the job because of the lip, because of the size, and you're not having to worry about it breaking. The last thing you want to do as a pond builder or a water feature builder is replace what you've done. You've maybe spending 6 to 8 hours building a small waterfall in your garden, and how would you feel if 6 months time you had to rip it out and start again? It would be soul destroying. It's not like you can just go and replace a television or replace a car. You just take it back and then just upgrade a car. You've got a lot of blood, sweat and tears in waterfall building. So the best thing to do is invest in the best quality equipment, or if you're a teenager or on a budget, have a go, get outside. It's not about selling kits, it's more about how to build a water feature. So without further ado, let's start building this water feature. So now we've got the kit, now we've got to use our imagination. Here at Pond College, we've got 3 waterfall boxes like I've mentioned. We've got these basins pre-installed, pre-drilled, and we've got pipe coming out just to keep it simple and save that little bit of time of digging a basin and getting it level. Then we can concentrate on the art, concentrate on the rocks where everybody wants to concentrate. So what I would recommend, get yourself a kit and then install the kit. The amount of times, it's bonkers the amount of times when I've had to run around driving all over the place and trying to find a fit in it. It's frustrating. So let's get the liner, let's get the underlay, let's get some waterfall foam, and let's make some magic. So we've got the waterfall kit, now we need to do the groundwork. And as you can see, this is lovely ground. It's made out of sand, so it's very easy for us to move. And we can dig this by hand, bending your knees and moving the soil or the sand around. In a garden situation, it might be harder digging and you're having to properly dig. And what you have to do then is you have to use your legs rather than just digging with your hands. You can wear out very, very quickly if you're doing this all the time. If it's loose, it's fine. But if you're trying to sort of like dig, you can see what you need to do is rest the shovel on the floor. So this is a digging technique. Rest the shovel on the floor, palm of your hand, and then put it into your thigh. Then the power comes from your leg. All this hand is for guidance. It's just to guide it in the right place. So you're not having to sort of like struggle with your back, with your arms. You know, you can tire very, very quickly if you use just your arms. So let's get in there with your leg and dig into the garden soil. What I'm going to do here today is I'm going to prepare 1 drop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a simple sheet waterfall. In other videos I'll do other techniques, but for a basic beginner, what we want to do is we want to create a lovely sheet waterfall. So that's what I'm going to do today. So now I've done the prep work, we'll get the spirit level, we'll have a look. So we've got the basin in place, that's nice and level, and now we want to work on the benches or the groundwork. So now what we need to do is drop the level in. So this is our bench. What you're creating is you're creating a series of steps or benches. You want the bench to be level or pitched back away from the basin. So as you can see, I've done it multiple times, so it's very, very easy. It's second nature for me, but you always want to use a spirit level to make sure that you're on the right guide. if you have it as a slope, let's just imagine this is the garden now, or the mound that you've dug out from the basin. You're creating a ski slope, you're not creating a waterfall. So a ski slope, it's more of a rolling cascade. It's the water's rolling down the hillside. It's not a waterfall. So what we're creating here is we're creating a sheet waterfall effect, so it creates a nice curtain effect. So you want to make sure that it's level or pitched back slightly away from the basin. So you imagine the basin here, it's slightly pitched back, because in the wild, in nature, underneath the waterfall, it's deeper. Where the water's creating that turbulence, it creates a deeper pool, and then the sediments and everything deposit out, and then it carries on going. So you don't want it pitched forwards, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. Also, another thing where a lot of people go wrong is they build wet steps. When I'm talking about you create benches or steps, you want to over dig the area, and then you want to fill in with the stone or whatever you're building, and then you can backfill or bring the soil back up to the stones or the edge treatment. So let's work out now what we're going to do. So we've measured this is fine, this is level. Now I'm creating a level at the top for the spillway. So as you can see, I'm just pushing down because this is higher. I will actually get the shovel and take some of that out actually. So use your knee, and you're just guiding it. This comes with the kit, and what you need to do is you need to protect the ground so there's no sharp objects sticking up to puncture the liner. You may have to cut this geotextile liner for an overlay as well. You might get one piece that's big enough to do the underlay and the overlay. And what you need then is you need a knife. So it's important this end not to put the geotextile membrane into the basin. So we've got the basin in the ground. Let's get the knife before I bury it. And we want to make sure that the geotextile doesn't go into the basin, so we cut this. And what I use is a hooked blade craft knife. As you can see that on the camera, it's got a hooked blade, so it's very easy for you to cut it. Some people use scissors, some people use a normal craft knife, but I like the hooked blade because it's a lot easier for me. Yes, it does take a little bit of time to get used to it, but it's a lot easier in the long run. As you can see, it's a heavy duty underlay. Years ago, people used to use newspaper, but I found that worms used to eat the newspaper. You can actually feed worms newspaper, believe it or not. Old carpet is another one. I don't like to use the old carpet because it releases gases into the soil, and it's really sort of like an old way. So I use the geotextile. It's a lot more better and safer. It's fantastic, and certainly you can use non-fish safe or non-aquatic ones underneath the liner as protection, but always on the top. If you're building anything that flows into a fish pond or a wildlife pond, you must have it as aquatic safe. So now we've got the geotextile down, let's bring the liner in. So we're protecting the liner from underneath. Now we'll get the liner in place. So unlike the geotextile, you want to have that protecting the liner. You want the liner to actually go over halfway over the basin. And as you can see with the basin, it's actually a diamond shape because the maximum width is in that middle. So that's where you want to end the liner. So you want to have the liner overlaying halfway. You've got a hole in the middle for the fountainscapes, and then you can see the corners. So then you want to stand on that, and then what you can do is bring the liner back and then kneel on it. And what you want to do is make sure that the liner is covering the big portion of the benches, and move it over if you need to. This is actually an offcut. At Pond College we get through a lot of liner. Like I was saying before, these are training boxes, so it doesn't really matter if this has got a hole in it. They're offcuts of bits of liner that we use all the time, and it's not a permanent feature here. This is a temporary feature designed for training, designed for teaching you guys how to build a waterfall quickly. So we're not too worried about it. But just to show you the process, just go round with your feet or your hands and make sure that there's nothing sharp sticking up. So now that the liner is protected from underneath, now you want to protect it from above. So you have another piece of underlay. Now before I put that down, let me go into the reasons why I protect the liner from above. Let me go and get you two different types of stone and I'll show you the difference. So now I've got the stones. You can see the difference between these two types of stone. These are pretty much our standard stone. We also use the brown ironstone from Oxfordshire on our installations, but they're not readily available. It's very, very rare actually. One thing that is available is glacial boulders. You can get these from Wales and you can get them from Scotland, and they're very round and very smooth. If you're putting these ones in, you don't 100% need to protect the liner in all scenarios. You can imagine that, you know, it can go down and you're not going to have any sharp edges, where with the aqua blues, the blue granite or the green granite, it's got very sharp edges. So I always protect the liner when we're using aqua blues, and that's the stone of choice on this particular water feature. So we're actually going to use an overlay on top of the liner to protect it from the stones. With the glacial boulders, you'll see some of them have notches. Now that is character, so you know you can actually have water flowing over that, but if that goes down onto a liner and you twist the stone, it's just like if you're going to twist it on your hand and it cuts your hand, it's going to cut the liner. So I always go for protection on top of your liner. It's just cheap insurance really. The worst case scenario is it's not going to damage the liner, it's going to damage the fleece. When you're using big stones, so let's say that we were using machine set boulders on this, what we'd actually use then is rock pads, which is the same geotextile but a much thicker grade, 2 or 3 times the thickness, or we use multiple layers of this, and then it's not too much of a problem because again you're protecting the liner. When you're using massive great big boulders, you put this stuff down and then you put a layer of gravel, so you don't have to put it on top of concrete or anything. You know, when you're talking about 3 or 4 ton boulders or 17 ton boulders, you want to put your liner down, then the fleece, then you want to put a layer of gravel so it distributes the weight of the big stones. But because we're talking about a small one for beginners, I'm not going to take you too far down that rabbit hole. So let's get cracking with this beginner sheet waterfall. So now we've got the liner protected from above and below. Now we can start thinking about the spillway box. So come over here now and I'll show you what we're doing. If you're wondering what a spillway box is, this is what a spillway box is, and it creates a lovely curtain. If you remember at the start of the video, all we had was a 90-degree bend that was distributing the water up, and it was like a bubbling, babbling, volcano style start to the waterfall. Where with the spillway box, it creates a lovely sheet waterfall. What a lot of people do is they get ahead of themselves and they start installing this before they put in the rock work. So what we've actually got is we've got a couple of areas, a couple of choices. We could stack a load of stone up here and then create that flat edge for that curtain effect. Or what we could do is we could put in a great big boulder and then a smaller boulder. What you don't want to do is you don't want to create a turret. Both sides have the same size stone and create a formal feel like a turret on the top of a castle. Yes, you can have stacked slate underneath the sheet of water because it could be that that's the texture of the rock and you don't really see it, but then you have two big boulders either side. But it could be that you can't pick up the big boulders. So what I'll do is I'll roll one into place and then we'll stack some up on the other side just to show you two different techniques. It's not going to look the most natural, but we'll show you what we can do. And we're going to create that lovely sheet waterfall. So at Pond College, we've got a number of different types of rock. We've got the aqua blues, we've got wood, we've got some rustic slate, we've got some black granite, we've got glacial boulders, loads of plants. We've got blue slate, which is great for stacking, and you'll see that in a second. We've got York stone, we've got some more slate, great for stacking. As you see, we've used this one before. We've got some pebbled liner, not that I'm going to use the pebbled liner today. What I have done is I've pre-selected some stone, and you can see in the waterfall boxes, there's a big view of the 3 waterfall boxes and the sand pit behind in front of my van. So I've picked out this stone, and it's huge. So now we're all set up and ready to put some rocks in. So join me for part 2 on this How to Build a Small Waterfall with Rocks series. See you in the next video.